This week would have been the perfect week for me to debut a horror game. Given the success of other horror games from indie developers at the moment, it would have just been ideal. The theme was Shadow, so there's an obvious connection to spookies there. Given what happened last week, I wanted to go a little bit easier on myself, especially since I'm slowly falling behind on everything. The real world is starting to actualize itself again, which means that I need to be able to handle my workflows a bit better and actually make games that are of an appropriate scope. Because, feature creep isn't a thing you can deal with in a week. When I think of Shadow, I think of physics games which require you to mindlessly drop things onto a specified platform, and definitely not objects that omit light from reaching other places, which shadows are, I guess. So that's exactly what I did this week. I did incorporate shadow a little bit in that you don't actually see the object you're dropping, you just see the shadow of it. And it led to some cool game design elements. Of course, the most important part of a physics-based game is that you just have the perfect amount of luck for it to be annoying. And so I made sure to incorporate that first. We wanted some level of consistency with our objects dropping, but it's really important to find that balance between consistency and hating your life, because that's really reflective of good skill-based games. Seriously, I do think the amount of luck that's involved in this is probably around the right amount. It does make it more playable and a little bit frustrating, which I think is the goal with physics games. I think the level of skill cap is really high as well. When you look at things like Flappy Bird, it's got this really high skill cap that then you get better at it. There's the milestone of achieving the skill cap, and then there's the milestone of working past that and perfecting it. So I feel like this game kind of encapsulates that a little bit. I mean, it's really janky as well, so not perfectly, but I mean, what can you do within a week? I'm quite happy that I managed to encompass that difficulty. It's not like a hard game to learn, it's literally one button. It's difficult to get good at and even more difficult to master. I feel like there's enough little elements that lead to that. You've got each specific object, which you can kind of learn how it interacts with the cargo ship when you drop it. You've got the sun, which moves across the screen, and looking at where the shadow of the crane is to kind of judge when you should be dropping it. You've got the chain itself, which moves faster and faster and faster as you play, although that's not super noticeable, but it's enough to have an influence on how you play the game and your mastery of it. The score system's completely broken. It's very janky, it doesn't work properly, and it was something that I implemented in the last couple of hours before uploading it. I would have liked to have had it so that when an object lands in the hologram, that it calculates how much of the object is within that space. But I ended up doing the rotation of the object and how far away it was positionally from that point, and subtracted that from a maximum amount of score that you could have. Even then, it doesn't work as expected, because dealing with rotations is always a fun thing. If you want to have a good time, look up quaternions and how they work. The score's so janky that I had to hard code in a maximum amount of score that you could have for each object, because heck, it can go ridiculously insane. The dumpster is a janky piece of mess. I think that's a nice artistic reflection of the world as it is at the moment. The dumpster fire that was 2020 and I guess 2021 as well. When it lands on the platform, it just kind of shakes around and doesn't stop moving. I'm basing the landing state of objects on their velocity. So if it moves at all, it's not gonna confirm a landing, which means that there are times when you just have the dumpster shaking around doing its thing on the dance floor and the game is just frozen and you have to restart it. I could have easily fixed this by adding a timer as soon as an object touches the platform, so just giving it 10 seconds to register, and if it doesn't yet, it will just freeze the object and count where it is at the moment. But that takes effort, and I don't have that, so get over it. I stole the water and hologram shaders from the internet because saving effort is good. I did a whole 3-month exploration into water shaders at one point during my degree, and I'm not ready to go down that road again. So stealing stuff from the internet works, especially when you're allowed to do it. I did a little bit of trickery with the chain and the crane, just so that the shadows that they cast work a little bit better. The crane is super elongated and then made really thin, so you don't have these awkward artifacts where the chain is looking like it connects. The chain's totally disconnected. It is just hanging out in midair. The object's dropping is also just kind of weird. I don't have any of the rotational force applied to it when it falls. It just goes straight down, which makes it look hella jank, which is great. I don't really mind that. There's a nice little hack to get a perfect score by just dropping the object as soon as the game starts. I spent a bit of time trying to work out how to get the shadows to look extra crisp, but I didn't really get anywhere with that. So I think that's probably the biggest disappointment of the whole project. Just the fact that they look a little sharp and polygon-ish, and you can see the pixels, when the whole point is shadows. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I feel like it's relatively low effort compared to some of the other stuff that I've done before, but I think it's probably more appropriate for fitting in with life It's definitely very janky, but we're all about that here. Next week's theme is destruction, because I'm sick of doing abstract interpretations of words, and it's kind of hard to just not make a fun explodey game. As always, the download link is in the description. Go check it out if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. I'd also really appreciate it if you like and share this video. I'm not going anywhere with this channel yet, and I'm starting to question its existence. Thanks for watching. It's been a good week. It's been real fun. Definitely ready again to just get straight back into it. I know this video was a day late, and I'm sorry. I had to pick up the car again, which means that I now have to do my flower deliveries again, which means that it's going to be a lot of fun trying to fit everything in. Hell yeah.